Today is all about toddler meal prep. I am gonna show you some things you can meal prep for your toddlers and actually your entire family. So I have these silicone molds that I bought, and I'll link these below, and I'm just going to make some little egg bites in them to make eggs a little bit more fun for my kiddos, because we have a lot of eggs for breakfast and I wouldn't say they're tired of them, but a little bit. Maybe they are kind of tired of them. Yeah, we'll say they're tired of them. This goes in the Instapot. They've got little lids that go on them, and then you cook it in the Instapot. So then after that, I plan to move on to making some granola, some toddler cookies, overnight oats, peanut butter and jellies to put in the freezer. That way we have a really quick option to grab if we're gonna be headed somewhere. I'm gonna cut up a few veggies, get those ready to go for the week. And then last, if I have time, I'm gonna try to make some little mini meatloaf things that I can put in the freezer and thaw out for lunch. All right, so let's get started with the egg bite. By the way, I'll be sure to link the recipes I'm using today down below. So anyway, these egg bites are easy to make. You just whisk the eggs together, add in your seasoning. I like to use salt. For my baking powder, I always make sure that I get the aluminum-free baking powder. And then I add in some milk. Usually I add in a little cottage cheese, but I didn't have any today. And I use coconut oil to grease my pan. The awesome thing about this recipe is it's super customizable. So you can mix in veggies, or what I like to do is just add my veggies to the top so that I can make a couple different varieties without having to mix it separately. So today I'm just adding some chopped spinach and some onion, and then I'll sprinkle some Parmesan cheese on top of them. But broccoli chopped very finely also works well, as does other kinds of cheeses like cheddar cheese or even Swiss. And then you just want to make sure that you get the lids on your silicone molds very tightly. So apparently I didn't have one of the lids on very well. I am going to go ahead and get my granola going. The granola recipe that my family really loves is in this cookbook, and I'll link this below. It's the 100 Days of Real Food. Got a lot of good family-friendly recipes. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and get this granola started. I'm gonna bake the granola on this pan, and I love these silicone liners because I don't like to bake on like aluminum. Silicone is a lot healthier, so I do recommend getting some of these silicone liners. Okay, to start off this granola, I'm just using oats, and I do like to use organic oats. And then I'm going to use some nuts. Of course, I'm using a nut chopper to try to get my nuts as fine as I can, and you want to be really careful if you are giving something like this to toddlers, because their nuts do need to be chopped very fine. So my 5-year-old, of course, it's not so much a concern for him, and then my 3-year-old, I make sure that the nuts are chopped fine enough for her. I like to put shredded coconut in it, and this granola is so good. If you've never made homemade granola before, it's so fun to make. It makes the whole house smell good. This recipe has you heat up butter and honey, and it's just delicious. A lot of store-bought granola is highly sweetened, so it's nice that this is just sweetened with honey, and it's not as sweet as a lot of granola, but I think it is actually much more delicious. Then you want to just put it on your pan and spread it out really thin. Here it is, ready to go in the oven. So I've got my granola in the oven, and now I'm ready to pull my egg bites out of the Instapot. And this is when I realized one of the lids had popped off. I didn't have it put on there very good, I guess, and so some of them looked a little deformed. Okay, so I'm gonna let these egg bites cool a little bit, then I'll pop them out of the mold. So I'm back. I had to feed the baby, got spit up all over my sweater, so changed shirts. The egg bites have cooked. And so I'm just going to put those in a glass container. My granola came out of the oven, it's still cooling. So once it's cool, I'm just gonna break that up and store it in probably a Ziploc bag in my pantry so that we can use that as we need it. My husband's home now, so I've got him, and my daughter is helping to cut up some veggies. You'll see that little wooden knife that she was using laying there. She loves that. And then of course we store our veggies in silicone bags. So next, I think I'm gonna make some overnight oats and maybe some toddler cookies.
Toddler cookies? We're gonna make toddler cookies.
All right, breaking up the granola is probably the most fun part. And of course we sample a little along the way. We will use this granola on top of yogurt mostly, so we'll make like a yogurt parfait with this granola and some blueberries, but occasionally we may have a little bit with milk.
Yum, yum. Yum, yum. Yum.
All right, so overnight oats are next, and I make these sweetened with bananas. This recipe is on my website at dietitianmeetsmom.com. You can grab it there. I really love this recipe because it is sweetened with just bananas. So it even works for a younger child, like a 1-year-old who you may not be giving any honey or maple syrup or any sweetener at all to yet. And I usually put yogurt or kefir in it along with some milk. The oats, I like to just mix up peanut butter. I like to just mix up one big batch in a big bowl, a big mixing bowl, and then divide it into smaller bowls later. And I usually also save some fruit, so I save some of the bananas to top it with and maybe add some blueberries or another kind of fruit to top it as well. So there you have it, pretty easy, some overnight oats. I love these cups for storing things like overnight oats, but I don't have that many of them, and we use them as glasses sometimes too because you can put a straw in them. I'll put these in the fridge and we'll most likely use them for breakfast or possibly like a morning snack.
What next?
What are we gonna make next? I don't know, what do you think? Toddler cookies? Right, toddler cookies next? Okay. Next up is toddler cookies. This recipe is also on my website. Again, it's sweetened with just dates, so it's perfect for anyone, a 1-year-old even, to have. But my kids are 3 and 5 and they still love them. I love to use them for afternoon snack when I don't have something else planned. I find that it's really beneficial to have some snack items like this, for example, in the freezer, because if one week you don't have time to do any prep or fix a snack, then you've got something to fall back on. Let's get started. I always grind my flaxseed in a coffee grinder, and then I just blend my oats first in my food processor before I mix up the rest of the cookies. So for this recipe, all of your ingredients basically just go into the food processor. They are based with oats. They do have some flax. I like to add in a carrot for some extra nutrients. We actually just took some of these cookies today on a little walk in the park and a little picnic, and they're just perfect because I pull them out of the freezer and then I can put them in a bag to take along with us, and by the time we want to eat them, they're thawed out and ready to go. So I have a couple of the silicone mats. I just switched it out for a new one, and now I'm going to put the toddler cookies on here. All right, so we've got 2 pans of the cookies ready to put in the oven. One of them is baking, and then I'll put this one in. And when they're done, like I said, I'll put those in some freezer bags. And then next up, I'm going to make some peanut butter and jellies to put in the freezer. So I've seen plenty of people make these peanut butter and jellies and stick them in the freezer before, and I never really saw the appeal of it, but then I realized you're only getting out the peanut butter and the jelly one time and then they're made. And these have been super handy for last minute picnics or car rides or just a time when we need something really quick. All right, the cookies are out, the first batch, so I'll let these cool and bake the others. Okay, all ready to go. So I did go ahead and put them in a big freezer bag just to kind of keep them together and also to keep them from getting freezer burnt, since the sandwich bags aren't freezer proof, or freezer bags, whatever you want to call it. Last, I'm making some little mini meatloafs, which I plan to use for my kids' lunches. I just used some grass-fed ground beef, egg, oats, carrots, onion, a little garlic powder, onion, salt, and then I'm mixing in some Date Lady barbecue sauce and white cheddar. I will keep these in the freezer, and then when I don't have anything ready or don't know what to give them or don't want to make something for lunch, then I'll have this healthy whole food lunch ready to go. Okay, so my little mini meatloaf muffins are ready. And I did end up putting a little more barbecue sauce on half of them on the top, as well as a little bit of white cheddar. So I'm gonna bake these, and then I think that's all I'm gonna do for today. Actually, it's now tonight. I finished up the little mini meatloaf muffins. So I've got those done now, and I'm just putting them in a bag, a freezer bag, and I'm gonna freeze them. So then I made sure to just label everything. So you can actually just write on the glass with these liquid chalk markers. My brother gave me this tip, and I saw him doing it with the date, and you could even put like what's in there, and it just will wash off the glass in the dishwasher. So we've got the granola and the toddler cookies, which will go in the freezer, and we'll keep some out. We'll have the peanut butter and jellies in the freezer. We've got some veggies, overnight oats, the meatloafs, and the egg bites. Thanks for watching today. I hope that this little toddler meal prepping session was helpful for you. These things are of course not only for toddlers, they could be for the whole family. We'll certainly all be eating them. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for more videos about how to feed your family well.